Good day, everyone. This Sharif Ibrahim was cancelled. The webinar will start in 1 minute. All right. Hello, everybody. This is Sharif Ibrahim. On behalf of Cancel Survey Equipment, I would like to thank you for joining us today. This webinar is part of our series webinar that started 3 weeks ago. So we started with showing the feature extractions from LiDAR point cloud. And then in the next webinar, we showed the different tools for visualizing point clouds, the free viewers, in addition to data sharing and collaboration. Last week also we showed some of the inspection tools we had regarding the floor inspection and floor flatness analysis. And this week we are going to focus more on modeling part in the workflow regarding laser scanning data. So the focus today is going to be on the modeler, the FARO As-Built Modeler. Today I'm going to be hosting the webinar with my colleague Peter from the scanning professional team. So a little bit by myself, working with cancer for almost 7 years, almost 20 years of survey experience. I'm leading the scanning and photogrammetry team. So we are a couple of professionals here covering all related point cloud data collection tools, starting from laser scanners, mobile mapping, drones. So I'm hosting the webinar with my colleague here, Peter Afshar. Like to introduce yourself, Peter.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Peter. Very quick and brief introduction of myself. I'm over 30 years land surveyor and over 20 years of scanning, located in Toronto and looking after the technical support and special services. Yep. So let me. Please, do you want to add something, Sharif?
No,
or
no,
you want me to
let's go to the next one. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So before we start the agenda, just quick, administration here. So everybody's going to be muted during the presentation, and we'll keep the last 5 minutes to cover your questions. So please feel free to type in your questions in the question panel. So if you're looking at the toolbars on the right corner, there is a questions. Please feel free to type in your question there. I'll get back to you at the end. So we'll start first with overview of Cancel, and then Peter will jump in to cover FARO, like a background, the history of all the devices we have, the software from FARO, and then we'll jump into the as-built modeler, and then, as I mentioned, we'll keep the last 5 minutes for your question. Also, this webinar is going to be recorded, so and it's going to be available on our website later today or tomorrow. So a little bit overview of Cancel. So we are over 50 years in business in Canada, proudly Canadian operated, 100%, over 600 employees, and we have 20 branches across the country. We have group of companies, so if you are aware of the old cancel logo, we're still covering, the survey, the conventional survey and all the engineering aspects. SolidCAD for Autodesk Business, Building Point for vertical construction and 3D scanning with Trimble, Images for satellite drive data, Vantage for precision, egg, and Cobalt for printing equipment and printing services as well. So, Peter, all yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, joining me for this webinar. I thought it's not a bad idea to start to introduce a little bit FARO, where they started. It might sound surprising to many people to know that FARO has its roots in Canada. It was started about 30 years ago by two McGill students in Montreal, and they started to develop a lot of advanced surgical and mechanical tools. And in 1984, they managed to build this arm that is very popular. If you're talking to mechanical people, many of the companies are using it. Later on, they were involved with some space programs for scanning and using laser for different purposes. And they came across this German company called IQSON, that they were in the early stages of developing laser scanner. And they joined teams with this German company, and they get into the business of laser scanning. So 2010, it's a very important date in their development, because they managed to make the smallest laser scanner that market has seen up to that point. And it was super successful because up to that point, only surveying companies were served by the market, and they opened a new range of industries and disciplines to use laser scanners. So in 2012, they came up with the Focus X330. I believe this is one of the most popular scanners ever sold in the market. Later on, through the IQSON people, they get to know another German company called Qubit, that they were in the business of developing software. So as you can see now, the DNA of FARO is totally changing and going toward the German. So many people take FARO as a German brand now, because both the manufacturing and the software developing is happening in Germany. So in 2016, the S series was introduced. Again, another big success for FARO. It was very well received. The price and the functionality of their scanners were top notch. In 2017, after selling that Qubit software, they rebranded the software as As-Built. So what we used to know as PointSense, it was rebranded as As-Built. And at the time, it was only limited to As-Built for Revit, As-Built for Autocad. And just toward the end of the 2019, they came up with the new software called As-Built Modeler, which we are going to cover today. So as far as the software lineup is concerned, FARO, of course, makes the scene that comes with the hardware, and we use scene software to register and put all the scans together and export in different formats. For the real processing and getting the deliverables, we are using As-Built for AutoCAD and As-Built for Revit to cover the both main ranges of the deliverables that are usually are delivered as AutoCAD products or Revit. As I said, the modeler was just introduced early this year, toward the end of last year. And the role of the modeler is to help people to model very basic modeling. Some people, they don't want to go through all the learning of the AutoCAD or Revit. They just want to create something quick and fast. Another advantage of modeler is you can work with images, which brings it very close to Virtuoserve. For those who know a little bit of the history of Qubit, they know the very first software that was developed to let people model around the point cloud without touching point cloud was Virtuoserve. And Modeler is probably a new version of Virtuoserve that we can access the images, we can access the point cloud, and interface this user interface to AutoCAD, Revit, and etc., as we will explore in a few minutes. So in a nutshell, the primary goal of Modeler is to enable all different sorts of professionals, including AEC people, to extract, building information and other CAD entities from the point cloud, which sometimes becomes very, very difficult. The first thing I want to point out is As-Built is standalone. It's super simple to use, as you will see. I'm going to give you a few examples today, and you can claim that by the end of my presentation, you have had almost 50% of the training. The user interface of As-Built Modeler is very similar to Ferrocene. So some people might mistake that, this is Ferrocene I'm showing today, but no, it's another software called As-Built Modeler. So we can interface this software, as you will see, to almost any AutoCAD or CAD system, and also we can interface it to other macro softwares like Excel spreadsheet and etc. Another very nice feature of Modeler is you can develop your own functionalities through macros that comes very close to list programming. If you are familiar, this is the programming language that people can use within AutoCAD. So there is a lot of room for future development of the software, and that's an open-ended, I would say, software. This is not limited only to what you see today. So let's go through a few videos here that I will talk over it, and you will know more about this software. So this video is directly from a FARO website. As you see, the user interface is pretty much like Ferrocene. You have the same clip-in boxes, and you can use this software for visualizing and organizing data, and you have pretty much the same powerful tools that you had in Ferrocene. And on top of what you get on Scene, you can extract much more intelligently the CAD geometry and other features that is present in your project. So simply, once you finish with the FARO Ferrocene project, you can take in the same project into this modeler. The basics of the modeling is based on polyhedrons. Some people call it wire meshes or wireframes. So it's a pretty automatic functionality. So you can extract cross sections, you can extract cylinders, and as you can see, you can interface it to Excel spreadsheet, and even more, you can interface it to AutoCAD. You also have the option to export directly to various formats, including DXF, STP files, IGS, and this way, I hope you got some idea about the functionality of this software. So moving on, I would like to talk about the user interface of the software. Again, as can be seen, it looks pretty much like Ferrocene, as if I just opened Ferrocene. Learning the software is pretty easy because, as you can see on top of the screen, we have a bunch of tabs like project, import, explore. So at each step, you are pushed through the steps. So opening a project is as simple as selecting the file. We get the same project report as we get in Ferrocene, like how many scans are involved, how much of the information are processed, the accuracy on registration, and so on. If needed be, we can import more scans into a modeler, but we should know that there is no registration functionality here, and the scans should be already registered. The Explore tab is pretty much the same as Ferrocene. We can view the point cloud. We have the VR or virtual reality functionality. We can create an overview map or floor plan, and other navigational tools that are available in Ferrocene are also present here, like creating meshes and so on. So this is where you can explore and check your point cloud, and then you move to your modeling. The modeling, as I said, is based on a wireframe or wire mesh, if you like, concept. And you create these wires based on regions. So regions are the basic concept that has been utilized in this software. And by region, I mean flat surfaces that might be horizontal, they might be vertical, or even slope. It doesn't really matter. So the other modeling tools that are present here are creating cylinders, and you have a bunch of different editing tools for making the intersection of the regions that you have created to be watertight, very nice and clean without any problem. Through the definition of regions, you might have some editing required that you can do, and eventually you can export your information out of the software through exporting CAD objects and other options like creating RCP and so on, that again, they are present in Ferrocene. Another hidden, I would say, aspect of As-Built Modeler is this send to app. You can also add as many apps as you like here, those that are available. And send to app is very special to As-Built Modeler. You don't get this in Ferrocene. So what this send to app will do for us is it will let us to connect this environment to other softwares, being Autocad, being Excel, and so on. So the basis of this software is the macros, and I'm going to show you a few examples of how we model. So let's start with a few examples on the modeling. This is one of the projects I have done a few months back. It's a small mechanical room that I have scanned, and now I want to do a very quick modeling on those steps and the area around it. And I have already created the project point cloud. I have defined my clipping box, so I'm just limiting the area that I'm working. So as I said, the basics is using the region. We can have with no constraint, vertical or horizontal, which I'm going with some horizontal. I can set my radius where the software will look on the vicinity of that selected area, and it expand that area. You see that in defining the area, it might not look perfect at first. For instance, when I'm picking the steps, it doesn't really cover the whole area. Sometimes it picks a bit more than what it should. And when I'm done with creating all these surfaces, I don't think it will create something, quite stunning. So there are a lot of flaws, of course, and it's not really our interesting. So what we do now, we get rid of the point cloud with click, and now I have to connect and take care of the connections. We have this trim and expand function here, which works like magic by selecting all the surfaces that I extracted a few moments back. The software will do some analysis and tries to find all the edges, and you see that so quickly I can perfect my intersection and edges, and if there was any imperfection, it is taken care of. On top of that, we have other editing tools, like we can add to the area that has been already extracted. This is a very nice feature because sometimes we have objects that create shadows on the point cloud, and literally we don't have a good amount of data, so we can use this function to add to our region, and just the opposite to that, we can subtract. Sometimes we want to clean up around an area that has been extracted more than what it should. So we have all those functions. We have also the option to create UCS by clicking 3 points and draw our regions hands-free on that UCS. So let's try to extract some cylinders. And by cylinders, we can use it for pipes, for handrails, or anything that looks, like a cylinder. So for cylinder detection, we have two options. One is one at a time, that we create cylinders one after another. And the second option is to detect cylinders, which is a batch function, where we let the software to look all through the project and extract as much as it can. So as you see, I'm trying to select an area with a lot of noise, and it's not possible. So it points that when you want to use this function, you should have more or less a clean data set. And on the second pipe, as you can see, it's a very quick process of selecting a part of that pipe, and you can model it. You also have a little bit of editing tool here, so you can extend them, shorten them, connect them together. It's not quite perfect. For instance, you cannot do elbows yet, but it's not very difficult to guess that in near future, all those functions will be added. So the next example I want to give you is the sections. In Ferrocene, through that overview map, we know that we can create a quick floor plan, but that floor plan that is created is an image, and it's a raster, so it's not usually very useful. We have a much more versatile solution here, that we can create a vector out of our point cloud by defining a cross section that we use clipping box for that purpose. I'm just tweaking the clipping box here and try to create a cross section at the area that I want to. I can create this cross section horizontally, where I can extract the floor plan, or in this case, I'm trying to make a slice through an arbitrary cross section. So far, what I have here is a point cloud based, but I have an option to create a vector map out of what is visible here. And again, very quickly, after putting some setting, I can change the point cloud nature of what I see into vectors. So very quickly, we get our point cloud turned into line work. This is a 2D line work, and I can, of course, export this out to Autocad. And because the format is DXF, I literally can export this to any CAD system that you might think. So let's talk a little bit of extraction through the apps. I rather to say it's a hidden gem inside the software, because not many people know that there is an app option here, that not only you can put other apps rather than send to. For instance, you can also at that send to option here, send to Revit option there, where you interface to Revit. So one of the software that you can interface the software to is Excel spreadsheet. Sometimes we don't really want to model anything, and we just want to extract some coordinates. So interfacing is very quick and easy just by drag and dropping that. I don't know how to describe it, the satellite, for lack of a better word, into your Excel spreadsheet. You select a cell on the Excel, and just by clicking on the point of interest, you see that the coordinates are passed into Excel spreadsheet. Other parameters that you can extract are vertical lines. So for instance, if I want to know the height of that area, I just make 2 clicks. It doesn't matter if they are really vertical, only the vertical distance will be reported, or the width of that door very easily by 2 clicks you can. One might ask, what is the accuracy of this? It depends on the distance to the scanner. I would say if you are within, say, 2 to 7 meters, 8 meters, the accuracy is somewhere between 2 to 5 millimeters. As you go further back, depending on resolution, you might fall to, I don't know, 1 centimeter or such. Anyways, in this process, we are not really achieving 1 millimeter. For that, we have other routines. So let's go for the last app that I'm interfacing the software into Autocad. So as you can see, I have Autocad on my right-hand side, and I am interfacing the point cloud into Autocad. We can literally define any functions that you name. That usually we like to type the command or pick an icon AutoCAD in this macro. So these macros are very simple commands, very easy to learn. For instance, I'm editing one of these commands. This is a command that passes a point, a 3D point to AutoCAD. So you can imagine you can start a command on AutoCAD, and when it comes to picking the points, you use this macro, and just by a simple click, you can model everything in AutoCAD. So again, without bringing the whole point cloud into AutoCAD and dealing with the complexity of the point cloud, you have a better view on the image. You use your image. And so for an example, when it comes to extracting edges, which is a little bit difficult if you are dealing with a point cloud, we can use this macro that extract edges by making 2 clicks, one on the face and one on the top. It will pick the X and Y from the wall and picking the Z value from the top. So by 2 clicks, you see that I can extract the edge with extreme accuracy here. Even the edge is a little bit noisy, I can extract very nice. I can combine this command with an extrusion command. Again, there is a macro there that helps me to extrude the last entity that has been drawn, and very simple. The next example is when you have an object that changes the cross section along the Z direction. You see there is a reducer there, and I want to model that reducer. Using normal functions of AutoCAD might be a little bit difficult here. So by using this macro, first I make 3 clicks on the lower pipe to get the first circle, and I keep clicking whenever I see a change in the radius along the Z direction. The software will combine all of them through that LCDS, and as can be seen, I managed to model that part without knowing much about the 3D modeling in AutoCAD. Another very nice function example I can give you is where you are hanging cables, or I don't know, irregular pipes that are bending. It might be difficult. So first I'm trying to model the cube shape underneath. So we have a command called rotated rectangle, where I make 3 clicks to model the base, and I'm adding the extrusion part to it. So I modeled very easily by a few clicks the base part of it. And now I turn to that bigger duct that is bending. So you will see that how easy it can be done. So again, I need a circle here, which I define by making 3 clicks at the base of that duct there. Then I need to tell the software the direction and the overall geometry of the pipe. It can be straight or it can be bending. It doesn't really matter. My clicks will show how the duct is moving in 3D space. Just to make it look nicer, I can curving the last. Again, you see I'm just working with the macros, and each of these macros are AutoCAD commands. And by going to make, you see that how fast and easy, without getting too much into details and complexity of 3D modeling, you can model. Of course, there are many more tools on your disposal if you want to. And if these are not enough yet, you will be able to use other macros of your own to cover whatever you are interested in. So I believe you got some idea that how this software works and what it can do for you. So I guess we open the floor for any questions that there are. I'm not sure if I had any questions in my list, but let me pass it to Sharif and see how it goes.
Okay, thanks, Peter, for the presentation. If you could maybe show the bio page. So just to recap what we have covered today, I know we went beyond the time, but we still have maybe a couple of minutes if you have any question. So we covered like the as-built modeler, which is part of the FARO, the software packages we offer in-house. And one question here, Peter, regarding the macros. Does the user like has to create the macros, or the software comes with like default ones?
The software comes with a few macros. They are available on FARO website under knowledge base. Those icons and some of the icons that you saw and macros that you saw was developed by myself, but anybody that is interested, they can reach me, and I have no problem to share all those macros and icons. The icons are my making. You cannot get those icons directly from FARO. So probably you want to reach me if you liked what you saw. This is a little bit extra on top of what FARO delivers.
Okay, great, thanks, Peter. So to add to the macros, we offer also professional services. So if you like to maybe to create, I would say, a customized macros or just to fit your workflow, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll help you to get this macro. I know we went beyond the time, but we'll just like gonna close this session. So the idea here, as I mentioned before, this webinar is going to be recorded and it's going to be available on our website shortly. So feel free to go there, double check the old ones as well, the one we are offering like in the last couple of weeks, and we have tons of good webinars over there. Recently also we offered like an open class, a remote open class, like 4 hours short ones to cover workflows. So feel free to reach out to our website or either to me or to Peter. If you have any question, go to cancel.ca, and I encourage everybody to register in our newsletter to receive all updates regarding hardware, software, webinars, in addition to trainings as well. So I would like maybe to thank you at the end for joining us today on behalf of Cancel, and I would like to thank Peter as well for the great presentation, and take care everybody and stay tuned.
Thank you, everybody.